Transform!
Welcome back to another edition of Tea and Toys. This time we've got the Transformers Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection, Robots in Disguise 2000 Universe Scourge. Whew, that does not get any shorter. Well, here we have Scourge. This was a toy that I wasn't initially going to get. And yes, I twisted my own arm. Oh, it was so hard to decide whether to get this or not. I am a bit of a sucker for the Robots in Disguise 2000 or 2001 or car robots, however you want to call it or see it as. I like the series. I in particular like that in Japan, the car robot series is set in between the years of the end of Series 2 of the original series and just before the movie. Now there's no tie-in whatsoever. It's just what the Japanese have said, that car robots is set in that time frame. The Autobots are time travelers. I guess what also led that the Predacons or Destrongas are also from the future. This is a future after Beast Wars Megatron has conquered the planet and it's become organic. So Cybertron has again returned to being a metal planet. Both forces are from far-flung future. I don't think we know when. So either way, they go back in time. And I'm guessing the idea is to get Energon or take over. It's not the same plan as Beast Wars Megatron to stop the Autobots. I'd have to read and see if there's more in the Japanese continuity for that side of things. I don't think there is. They might have covered other bits in some parts. There's so much like mini comic this and this tying that with Japanese, so it can be quite hard to sort of keep up with. Either way, I like that it could be G1 if you want. Well, here he is. This is Scourge. Looks actually not too bad in truck mode. And on a flat surface, this side all the wheels are going round. Let's spin him round. And it looks like this wheel here is not spinning. That might be a bit of 90 plastic, but it's not letting it do it. It is touching, but it's deciding not to spin, so that's a bit of a disappointment. All but one wheel will spin on a flat surface. Again, on a carpet, that would be fine. It's not all one vehicle. You can detach that. And one cool thing with this is you can pull that down. And that always wants to come up for some reason. But having said that, it is a more sturdy stand than the one we've previously had with the Generation 1 Optimus Prime and the Generation 1 Nemesis Prime. So that is fine. It's not going to fall over like the other pegs and the other two just sort of collapse constantly. And there it is, Scourge. Oh, that wheel, no, the wheel's still not rolling when he's just in the truck mode. Yeah, it must be, I think, a gnarly bit of plastic there. Listen to that. Now, the truck mode is fine. It does look very much like Scourge. That's been kept very nice. This would have been maybe nice if it was a bit more of a chrome plastic, but I'm not going to cry about that too much. It does feel quite flimsy, light, and if honest, it does feel a bit cheap. The price that it is, this, I don't know, the plastic just seems quite brittle, thin, and like loose. Well, when we put it in platform mode, we'll see if it looks better like that. But again, this is not a thing that I would have out on display anyway. It's likely go into storage due to I won't be able to find anywhere to actually put it in storage. I don't know what that's all about. That's obviously to do with base mode. And then there's the truck. Well, let's not delay. Let's get this guy in robot mode. And here we have Scourge in his robot mode and the battle platform from the trailer. Not as big or imposing as the original trailer for Scourge. Now I do have that, but I don't have it to hand to make a full proper comparison. It's sort of tucked away in the loft. You can spin this turret round. You can spin the actual gun round at the top. The gun can be removed to be his handgun, similar to the original. We've got this claw thing here, which does it get in the way of this ramp, this repair ramp or dissection ramp? Not quite the same as the G1 Optimus where you sort of clip him onto it. And one cool thing is you can store the axe away and the sword away on the trailer, and you can attach quite a few other bits to it if you want. I kind of hope if and when they redo Bruticus in the Menasor aesthetic, that we will get another repaint of Ruination. The sword, again, can be clipped on. A big giant sword. Some others said they don't like the size of the sword. I actually quite think the sword's quite a good size, actually, for the figure size. I don't get where that's an issue. But it's cool that you can pack all the bits away onto Scourge's battle platform here. But I'll keep the sword, maybe the gun out anyway. But very simple transformation. It literally just folds out and you pull this up and spin this around and Bob's your uncle. It's there. Let's slide that to the side. Now the robot mode. Now, I haven't seen reviews of this and or the laser rod Optimus Prime. But I do feel that his legs are extremely long with this little squished body up here. The colours on this aren't like the original, where he had more reds and less pinks. Now I have the Western release, not in the UK. This is something I had to buy from eBay from an American seller many moons ago to even obtain a Scourge for my collection. It's ridiculous. The things that we didn't get in this toy line back then in the UK, absolute insanity. I don't even think Slapper, Gaskunk and the other guy were readily available in shops either. I had to get that from Forbidden Planet. I've got the Megatron as well, or Gigatron. So that's why this one's got Decepticon logos and he's got the Commando logos. Now the colours for this guy are wrong, and the explanation for it, terrible, from Hasbro, awful, rubbish explanation, but that's by the by. It's been released as it is, more akin to a Nemesis Prime, like so. This is the Netflix Nemesis Prime release, and you can already see that there are similarities. I believe Scourge was the first proper evil Optimus Prime, ignoring the clone from the original G1 cartoon. He's not a Nemesis Prime. He is the creation of that universe's Megatron and or Gigatron, a human, and that universe's Optimus Prime and or Fire Convoy, however which way you like to see those characters. So not a traditional, well, even then, traditional Nemesis Prime. The Nemesis Prime backstory is so convoluted. Is it a Unicron turned Optimus Prime? Is it a standalone Unicron creation without any Optimus Prime past with him? A mech from the Prime universe? There's so many backstories with Nemesis Prime. I would just prefer him to be a creation of Unicrons without the Optimus Prime connection, just purely there to mock the leader of the Autobots, perhaps by creating his face with this logo on it. And that's how I'd like to see it. That's those two together. So not a Nemesis Prime, but this time around they've done more of a Nemesis Prime colorization on him. All they had to do is add grey. All they had to do is add grey to this chest piece and maybe fill in these bits. I'm hoping that there will be a Repro Labels stickers available for it, and this time around I will get them. Other things that I've noticed here, he's got these weedy little arms. They just sort of lay flat to his side like that. They don't look big and imposing as they are with the older version here. This is still a fantastic toy. This is hard to beat, this toy. This toy is, what, 30 years old? And still a strong toy in its own right. See, before, you could move these sections with the arm. Now, to get around that with this version, you can't move these sections. They can be moved up like that or down like that. So you can kind of move them out the way, but they just look a bit daft to do certain things. So, really, they are meant to be down like that. You can move the arm forward, and this flap comes up this time around, so it would be this section. So you can do certain poses with him. It just seems like he's got really short, stumpy arms, though. That's the problem. Whereas this one doesn't look as short and stumpy. So, yeah, very different. So you can lift these bits up like that if you want him to have more battle poses and stuff. And these bits do jiggle around. So you can do more with him if you wanted. But this inclusion just makes life easier, that they just move with him instead of being sort of more fixed and sort of flipped side to side like that. That's another thing, if that goes loose on the shelf after a while and you're moving stuff around, just stood there with that. There we are. Now, bits he comes with that the original did not. He comes with some kind of cursed, negative, evil matrix. That's quite a cool inclusion. That's one thing that Scourge, in the cartoon, I believe he can power up the Matrix in that show because of his connection to that universes via Convoy and or Optimus Prime. And that's something I like, because at that point Fire Convoy is the leader of the Autobots, and from that logic Scourge, or Black Convoy, is a part born from him. And I love the fact that he can use the Matrix to a certain point, to a certain degree, that any Megatron or Gigatron or Dark Lord of Chaos can't use in the Transformers, but this guy can. Which is why it's important for me that they are a slightly separate sub-faction, the Commandos, than Decepticons. Yes, they can be baddies and work with them as mercenaries. That's something that I'm fully on board for and would love for them to actually bring more of that for these guys. And the other Commandos, this is the Unite Warriors version of Ruination, so these two will be placed together on a shelf if I can find some space. These are the Commandos. These should be the only Commandos. I think this mini sub-faction should literally be reserved for these 6 characters as enforcers of a Megatron, a Gigatron, a Death Zanrus, a Overlord, or whoever your big baddie is in whatever storyline you're writing. Just have these guys as a nice special unit. I do think the legs were a bit long. I did feel the transformation up here was, I don't know, a bit unnecessarily complicated. For essentially, like the original toy, you literally just pull him up, pull his arms out, pull the legs down, flip the head out, transform. This one you had spinning things and twirling, twizzling around. I just seemed a bit too complicated for what it is. The arms for me a little bit weak, especially when you compare him to this chunky guy here. Like even the legs are a little bit small. You can't even pull out the wheels to boost up the bulk of his legs. That's one cool thing. This guy has got big Popeye arms, big chunky things up here. Yeah, he's got those, and the big chunky legs. This guy's a bruiser. Yeah, I'm not too convinced with this one. I still actually quite like it, even though I'm complaining about it quite a bit. Like the long legs, the less chunk. But for a Scourge, we'll definitely get the add-on stickers if they ever do them, and if and when they redo Bruticus, I will get that reissue of Ruination to go with him. But currently, this is my set of Commandos. They're not Decepticons from the Robots in Disguise series. They are Commandos from the Japanese car robots. A separate unit of pure annihilation and destruction. Well, what do you guys and girls think? Do you want to get the Robots in Disguise 2000 Scourge and or Black Convoy? Put it on your shelf. Don't forget to love, like, subscribe, and see you guys and girls in the next video. Sorry, just a quick epilogue. I had to pull Megatron Gigatron out of storage to stick him in this video. Now, this is a figure that I genuinely don't think needs to be redone. This mould, for me, is the essential Robots in Disguise Megatron and or Car Robots Gigatron. It's perfect for the figure, for the character. The aesthetics work well with these more modern toys. Because I guess that was the issue back with that toy line. You had a G1 Bruticus remoulded, you had a G2 Optimus Prime remoulded for the baddies. I think only Megatron was the original toy for the baddie lineup anyway. And even the Autobots, they reused some GoBots toys, Spy Changer toys for their ranks, and some of the Machine Wars stuff. Now, he's a bit loose now because this guy's been in and out of storage on many displays over 3 or 4 different flats and houses. It's taken its toll on him a little bit, but I do love this figure. I think it's perfect for this aesthetic. I had these all displayed out, the original lineup, and although how much I do love the original Scourge, having seen these two side by side, I do think this Gigatron is perfect. The height seems correct from the show as well. Bigatron, this guy is, I guess I keep using both names, he is a big guy. Menacing, big wings sprawled out. Fantastic, beautiful figure. This is great, doesn't need to be redone. And I think, for me, it works with this new Legacy, Kingdom, Wolf, Cybertron sort of scale really well, and I would welcome him being reissued. And he's not too bad a size when it comes to sort of your Optimus Prime and original Siege Earthrise Megatron. He's a bit bigger, but there's no problem with that. He can be a bit of a chunker. Nothing wrong with that. So I just thought I'd add that in quickly to say, for definitive car robots, robots in disguise toy line, I think the baddies, including the Unite Warriors Rumination here, I think they're near perfect scale-wise. Even the Predacons, now maybe hindsight now, the Fire Convoy, which is a great toy, is probably too big next to the Scourge here. Okay, couldn't resist, had to bring Fire Convoy and Optimus Prime down for a comparison, and I'm sad to say that yeah, he is probably too big and chunky for a all-in aesthetic. Let's get your video, it's your video, but let's get you out of the way. I think he's probably too big now. Looking at him, it's been a long time since I've had these two out together. I've often had the Decepticons, Commandos, Predacons, Strongas on display, but the other watch because the spy changes just annoy me. Yeah, oh no, I'm gonna have to say, yeah, redo him for a new generation. That's interesting to see. Right, sorry I've kept you for so long, and with this epilogue, get yourselves a cup of tea, and I'll see everybody in the next one.